So part of our spiritual path is every week to immerse ourselves in the teachings and the books of our ancient teachers. Pretty much like every tradition in the world, we have a vast library of spiritual teaching that have come to us the world over. And every week we look into those books and study their teachings, their spiritual wisdom. The central book, of course, for us is the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. And the 5 books of Moses are divided so that we can read all 5 over a year's time. So if you want, roughly, the whole Torah is split into 52 little portions that are assigned to every week of the year. And we are coming to the end of a cycle. The high holidays mark usually the end of the cycle, and after the high holidays we begin anew with in the beginning. This week's Torah portion is called Teitzei. And among other things, it had one verse that really captured my attention. In the paragraphs that spoke of vows and pledges, promises that we make, it has this phrase in Hebrew, Motzi sfatecha tishmor, which gets translated, guard what crosses your lips. So you could hear that and understand that as to, follow through with your promises. If you're going to speak vows, whatever vows they are, make good on your vows. If you're going to make promises, make good on your promises. If you're going to pledge something, then fulfill your pledge. But you can also read it more broadly. You can read it more broadly as saying, be mindful of the words you are saying. Be mindful of the words you are saying, because the words you are saying are creative energies and they have consequences. And maybe I've been oversensitized to this kind of teachings because in recent weeks I've been doing a lot of weddings and bar mitzvahs, and I've been immersed really in a lot of words, supporting bar mitzvah students as they prepare their talks, their reaction to their Torah portion, and helping them wrestle with the text, finding the words that are appropriate to what they want to share. But also with each couple that I am blessed to be part of their marriage, to help them realize the importance of the vows they're sharing with each other, of the promises they are making to each other, of the blessings that we bless them with. So maybe I've been a little bit, my consciousness has been heightened around the power of words. And especially one of the bar mitzvah kids that I was working with this past few weeks, he had a challenging Torah portion. He had the Torah portion, he chose the verses of his Torah portion where Abraham and Sarah are just arriving in the land of Canaan after God told them to go forth to the land that I will show you. And as soon as they arrive in Canaan, great famine strikes the land and they can't stay or they will die. So they take refuge in Egypt where there is plenty. But Abraham is concerned because he knows how beautiful Sarah is. And he knows that if the two of them walk into Egypt and Pharaoh knows that the two of them are married, he will have Abraham killed so that he can take for his wife Sarah. And so Abraham turns to Sarah and says to her, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. I'm going to ask you to lie. I'm going to ask you to lie. I'm going to ask you to tell everyone that you are my sister and not my wife. so that it will go well with me. And Sarah complies. And so I was having a whole conversation with that bar mitzvah student, and he was really wrestling with this. How dare Abraham did that to Sarah? How dare Abraham lied? You should never lie. And the consequences of his lie was that basically, and he didn't put it this way obviously, but he basically prostituted his wife to Pharaoh. All that for his own good. And so that young fellow was looking at Abraham the way I've been looking at Abraham sometimes, as this monster, selfish monster, who does something like this. And for him, this kind of lies, or any kind of lie, was not acceptable. For him, no lie under any circumstance was ever to be acceptable. So I challenged him, because that's what I do. They hate me. And then they love me at the end, after the ceremony. The parents figure it out before them. But I said to him really, and I ask you, aren't there circumstances where lying is necessary? Aren't there moments where not only lying would be necessary, but it would be required? And in fact, our tradition insists and tells us that there are extreme cases, obviously, where lying is a mitzvah, is commended. That kid didn't want to have anything to do with that. In his worldview, it was black and white, because if in his worldview, it's like if you start allowing for one lie, then there's the slippery slope. And there is enough lie. I mean, his argument to me was very powerful. There is enough lie going around in the world at so many levels that we cannot participate in that energy. But in our tradition, it is a mitzvah to lie if it is to save life. Pikuach nefesh is the term that we use. Pikuach nefesh, saving life, is so important in our tradition that it cancels out all the rest of the 613 commandments. It goes before that. You would desecrate Shabbat, you will worship idols, whatever you need to do in order to save life. That is paramount in our tradition. So it is commended to lie in order to save lives. And we, as Jews, know very well how much the power of the words matter, and lies can save lives. Because some of us were able to survive the Second World War when heroes, citizens of countries, were lying to the Nazi authorities, hiding Jews and saving Jews, risking their own lives and the lives of their children, the life of their entire family, and the righteous among the nations, those who lied to save lives. And we would be well advised to do the same, obviously. So be mindful of the words that are crossing your lips. Be mindful of the words you speak. Because words, as we understand, have the power to save life. But they also have the power to kill. They have the power to build or to destroy reputations. In our day and age, it's not so much the word we speak, but also the words we quickly write on a tweet or on a Facebook post. It's really a plague to the generation of my children, because those words become universally public as soon as they press enter, or whatever button they press on whatever device they are using. And the plague that plagues them is that of cyberbullying. And we know that cyberbullying can lead to suicide words matter. When politicians on such great public arena speak words of divisiveness, of racism, and of violence, they create the possibility of a different reality to be born. They unlock Pandora's box of racist violence. Their words create a possibility that those who may be inclined to act upon these words feel that they have been given a green light to do so. Words create spaces. Words create realities. So this is the month of Elul, and perhaps this Torah portion is there because these are the weeks leading up to the high holy days. And these are the weeks where we begin this process of introspection. We look at the year that was, and we shed the light of awareness to who we have been this past year. And perhaps this Torah portion is telling us that one of the first things we need to do is analyze, dissect, shed light to the way we speak, to the way we have spoken, to the words we have uttered. What are the words in your life that you have shared that have been words of hurt? What are the words in your life that you have expressed that have been words of healing? And where is the balance? Are the words that you use there to build, or are they there to tear down? And what's your ratio? Maybe we should start with that. The other aspect of that is the inner part of it. Because the word we speak or we write on the outside is only half the reality that we live. The other half of the reality is the inner life that we live. And so this Torah portion is telling us to be mindful of the words we say to ourselves. You know, the self-talk. How kind are we to ourselves? How hurtful are we to ourselves? Are we speaking words within that build us up or tear us down? Are we lying to ourselves? Or are we telling ourselves the truth? And what's the ratio? You know, it's important because all of us do both. None of us are saying just truth and healing words. All of us have a balance of the two, and that's because we are human. But the work is to try to tip the balance one way and not the other, right? Every year to put one more pound on that side, one more weight. If it is love that you want in your life, perhaps it would be wise to speak words of love. If it is peace that you seek in your life, perhaps it would be wise to speak words of peace and wholeness. Whatever it is you are seeking, you are wanting, you are lacking, shift the narrative. Shift your inner stories. And create that reality for yourself. Be mindful of those mantras you repeat that create who you are and who you become. I want to leave you with a little, I don't know what you call it, an anecdote. Stories that comes to us from thousands of years ago. Because we've been wrestling with this since forever. We've been around for 3,000 years, and it's already in the Torah. We've been wrestling with words, and the words we speak, and the vows, and the promises we make for thousands of years. 2,000 years ago, we spoke Aramaic. That was the lingua franca. We spoke Aramaic to each other, and we had coined this amazing expression. We lived in kind of a magical thinking at the time. And we really thought that words were magical incantation. And if you vowed something, it would be manifested in the world the next time. We really were scared of whatever was coming out of our mouths. There was a sense of magic in it. So this expression was coined that you've heard because it's come to us 2,000 years later. Some of you are already nodding. You know which expression that is. The expression is abracadabra. You know abracadabra? It's not a word that the magicians invented. Abracadabra is Aramaic, from a language that existed 2,000 years ago. It's actually two words. Abra means I will create. Kadabra, as I speak. Abracadabra, I will create as I speak. We are the magicians of our own lives. No, we don't pull rabbits out of our kippah. Try as we may. But we really are creative beings. We're speaking our life into creation. So as the magicians that you are, be very mindful what tricks you're playing on yourself and on the world around you. Because we say abracadabra every time we open our mouth. It's no mistake that this is part of our tradition. It's no mistake that it's part of our worship. We started the Amidah with, Holy One, open my lips, that the words I may say may be for good. But we also closed the Amidah with those same words. If you turn to page 9 for a moment. The last words of the Amidah, Elohai netzor leshoni mera. Holy One, guard my tongue from evil and my lips from telling lies. And we keep repeating that in our worship over and over again. So here's a wish for you as we enter into those holidays and we begin this work, this inner work. That the year about to be may a year for you where you will speak the life you want to create for yourself. That you will speak the energies you want to surround yourself with for yourself.